It was 25 years ago that America got its first passenger train, now known as the Metroliner. Gene Shalit is on the road this morning, observing that anniversary with a train ride, some history, and with a look ahead.
As the 60s dawned, automobile and air traffic became a problem throughout the industrialized world. In densely populated countries like Japan, high-speed railroad trains became part of the solution. They were called bullet trains, and they averaged 100 miles an hour between Osaka and Tokyo. They debuted in 1964, and they were an instant success. On the other side of the world, SNCF, the French National Railroad, offered Le Mistral, a stainless steel luxury train that hit 120 miles an hour between Paris and Nice. But here in the United States, we took a different approach. We did nothing.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction.
To most Americans, all railroad trains were like the choo-choo on the Petticoat Junction TV series, 2 steps down from a mule. The idea of a train seemed old-fashioned and slow, a thicket of inconveniences. The situation changed in 1965 when President Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the High-Speed Ground Transportation Act. This was a demonstration project in a Northeast corridor that led 4 years later, in 1969, to America's first high-speed train, the Metroliner. It captured the public's imagination immediately, and the news caboose. NBC's Jack Paxton reported the story on the Huntley-Brinkley Report.
The Metroliner makes the 225-mile trip between New York and Washington in 2.5 hours, about the time it takes to fly, if you count the time traveling on overcrowded roads to and from overcrowded airports. The accommodations are comfortable, if not luxurious. You can get drinks, a snack, or a full-course meal, and even make a phone call at 110 miles an hour.
And you still can. Look, I told you, please, don't call me when I'm on the train. Now, a quarter of a century has gone by, and the Metroliner has leaped from a one-a-day oddity to a fleet of trains that speed out every hour, connecting Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, Wilmington, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Newark, New Jersey, New York City, and New Haven, Connecticut. And there have been a lot of other changes since that first Metroliner whistled out of New York's Penn Station. Top speed used to be 110 miles an hour. Now it's up to 125. In 1969, food was simple and prices were low. Now, the food standards are higher, and so are the prices. In the 1960s, all along the route, trains were controlled by signal towers. Operators lined up the switches by hand. Now it all happens in this room that resembles the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. Amtrak, operator of today's Metroliner service, directs its high-speed trains from this control center that they call C-Tech. The dispatchers at the desks keep an eye on every train and control the entire high-speed railroad.
Yeah, you got a 60 on 3.
This is Stevie from C-Tech, looking for the PM updates.
You're increasing your speed now?
I'm going to put you down number 1 track.
112 slowed down pretty good on it.
For me and for many other Metroliner riders, the train is the best way and the fastest way to go from one city to another and end up in the city. Well, if the Metroliner is such a great idea, how come we don't have high-speed trains zipping all across the country to and fro and to? Mostly it's money. Tracks, stations, signal systems, railroad crossings. All of these have to be modified to accommodate trains that run at speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. And yet, in spite of the complexity of high-speed train projects, California is seriously exploring Metroliner trains between Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco. In the Midwest, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, they all want fast trains between their principal cities and Chicago. Even Florida would like more and faster trains to go between Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami. While these programs are in the study stage, Amtrak is rushing ahead with a very big project, and that is Metroliner service to and from Boston. The twisting, turning route from New York City makes the equivalent of 12 full circles between New York and Boston. It's being electrified, re-engineered, and re-equipped. While the work on the line is being done, Amtrak has spent the last year testing new trains, like the X2000 from Sweden, which tilts to make the curves smoother. And the ICE from Germany. This train has a full dining car to make the ride even more pleasant. Maybe someday American trains will have both. Until then, let's celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Metroliner. And you know how I'm going to celebrate? By riding the Metroliner. I'm getting out of town. All aboard! This is Today on NBC.